Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Katarina, and I'm responsible for all the marketing activities here in Unitfly. Uh, I assume that you already know this, but just to give you a little introduction about us, Unitfly has been a partner for mFiles for many years now, and we have been helping large companies, enterprise companies with mFiles implementations. And also we are developing our own products, such as Extension Kit, which you will be hearing about today. So Alan, our COO, is going to demonstrate the invoice approval process and the integration of mFiles and ERP system. Yeah, you can always ask questions in the chat during the presentation, and after the presentation, we will have the Q&A, so we will answer the questions then. Just a reminder: this webinar is being recorded, and you will get the recording in the follow-up after the event. Alan, if you're ready, take it away.
Hi, I hope you can see me. Yeah, my name is Alan, as Katarina introduced me. I'm CEO in Unitfly, also I'm product owner or product manager for the extension kit. So yeah, idea of today's presentation is that I show you some use cases where we are using the extension kit that maybe can help you with your business and your use cases, or maybe you will get some ideas how to use it in certain situations. So now I will share my screen. Hopefully you can see my presentation. And I'll start with that presentation. So what we'll see today is invoice approval with ERP integration. Some agenda is I will first tell you a few news that we have regarding the extension kit. Then I will tell a little bit about our roadmap. Usually how we plan is it's not a long term, it's more short term, and I'll explain you why. I'll tell you what is the current version of the extension kit in the cloud and some news about that. And then we will go through this use case. I will explain that use case first to you, then I will show you demo also in the mFiles admin regarding the configuration of extension kit. And also I will show you the demo in mFiles. And then you can ask questions where we can explain maybe some questions. Also, this vault with all configuration it's available on the link that Katrina showed you, and also there will be a link at the end of this presentation. Some news about the extension kit. Currently, the actual version is 4.2.4. What we are doing when we are developing is we always prioritize bugs over features. If we discover bugs, or our partners or our customers, we will always prioritize bugs over all the feature that we have. So bugs will have the high priority, and what we are currently doing, and we will try to do it in the future, is that when we discover bug, we fix it in the next version. This is how we are done so far. Hopefully we'll do next in the future. A few notes regarding from when we had version 4.1 to the latest. These are few features that are developed, and all these features are requested by partners. Only the last one is something that is developed by our customers. So we have really good communication with partners. They need they like some feature, they ask it, we put that on our roadmap, and we communicate when we can done something. Maybe some feature is dependent on the opportunity, and that will be a high priority to us. So we will try to keep up with that so that you win some opportunity, and then you can use the extension kit. These are few features that we developed in the last, I think, 2 months, and that are all requested by partners. Also, we are currently working on the version 4.5.2. Some features I will briefly explain that we will add in this new version. We added SQL sync in Excel integration. So what you can do, you can have the Excel, you can map all these data from Excel to database, to a SQL database. And in a certain state, you can trigger that integration. So you can use the Excel as your front end, add all the data there, and map it in the extension kit, and on the certain step in your workflow or in your process, you can just save everything to database and then use it later, how you like. Also, for one partner, we expanded property mapping in the vault-to-vault. Now you can map two properties based on alias and GUID and also value lists, not only by name. It was currently supported. Also, set property action is something that we added now in extend email notification. When you send an email in the current version, you don't know that email has been sent. So every email is just sent to that email. Now you will, after that action, you could set some property, maybe some flag, or you will move it to another state or whatever you want to do when you send an email. This is also something that one of our partners requested. What we're currently doing is we are adding OAuth in HTTP integration and also in our REST connector. So we will support now all authentications that I think are needed in HTTP integration, and also some bug fixes. Regarding the extension kit cloud, I think this week we validated the latest version, so 4.2.4. There are also some bug fixes because the latest version was 4.0, and except the bug fixes and features that are a lot of features there. There are also two new modules, so the extended reporting and data transfer. All these modules, the extended reporting and data transfer in the on-premises version of the extension kit work with file and FTP server, but for cloud, they only work with the FTP server because file is not, or network drive is not allowed in the cloud version. Okay, that's all the news that I wanted to share. Now I'll go on actual demo. So in this invoice approval process with ERP integration, what we will focus on are two documents, purchase order and incoming invoices. So we have a customer and we have a vendor. When customer wants to order something from a vendor, is it a product or a service, they will send a purchase order. That purchase order usually have purchase order number, and that's how is defined in the ERP. That's their identity. When vendor sends a product or do some kind of services, they will send an incoming invoice to the customer. So idea is that all incoming invoices, when they are done by purchase order, have that purchase order number on incoming invoice on that list. And this is the way how we can connect purchase order with the incoming invoice if there is a purchase order number on incoming invoice. So usually enterprises all require that their incoming invoice have the purchase order number. So this will be our ID. So our approval process, we have ERP, we have mFiles, and we have database. So mFiles is using the database, and also ERP is using the database. It can be a SQL database. And we have the FTP server. that FTP can be also a network drive or network share, whatever you want to use, but in the cloud you can only use the FTP. So our client have scheduled job, or it's scheduled or it's triggered by some action. They will export the purchase order to that FTP or the file server. So when this purchase order is saved to the file system, it will have some file name. And based on that file name, we will know the ID of that purchase order. So the ERP has exported files or purchase order to FTP. Then, using the data transfer module, we will get that file and we will save it into the M files. So we will save it as a purchase order. File name will be the file name of that purchase order. But what we can see that we have extracted the ID of that purchase order into the separate property. And we will use that ID to connect the database, that is ERP database. We will connect it, and using the integration, SQL integration module, we will gather all the properties for that purchase order. So we will use it where the number is ID. And based on using the data transfer module, we will have that ID in the M files in the metadata, and we will use that info to gather all the required information that we need for that purchase order. So this is our first step. We have transferred all the purchase order to the M files, and now we can start with invoices. So we have some invoice. That invoice have purchase order number on itself, and we will save it to the M files. When the administrator saves that file to the M files, it can choose the purchase order number. When they choose the purchase order number, using the extended property operation module, we will save and gather all the data from purchase order to the incoming invoice. So we will have the amount, we will have the vendor, we will have currency, we will have the requester, all the details that we will need either for the ERP or for the approval process. We will have basically everything except few details, maybe date, the invoice date, and maybe amount if it's different than purchase order. Basically, usually is the same, and the invoice number. That's the thing that we will need to add manually or using some OCR. So now we have added that invoice to the M files, and now what we need to do is we need to go to the approval process. So as we now have all the details from the purchase order, we know the approval process. We know who the requester is. We know who the director is, because based on the requester, we have their boss or director of that department or director of the company or site or so on. So this invoice goes through approval process, and when it hits when it's approved, when it hits the final state, we will also create a signature page. This signature page is like additional page to that invoice that we will add. They will have all the people who approved that document. In Croatia, some enterprises still request all this information on the piece of paper, so they add that extra page to that invoices, so that when they open invoice or if they print it for some kind of administration, they will have all this information on the paper or on that in the same document as they have the original invoice. And we will do that using the extended document processing module. And also, when we approve that, so our accounting said, okay, that's fine, we have all the information, everything is approved, then the HTTP integration module will send all this data to the ERP. And in the ERP, we will have all these informations that we entered through the M files, and they will also have if they want, they will have a file and they can have a link. So usually you will send either file or either link, but we will, in this demo, we will send both link to the M files and also the actual file in this request. And that's our use case. That's our use case. Now I will go through the admin console. I will show you briefly how this is done, and then we can see this use case in the M files. Okay, so now we are in the M files. We are in the admin console. What I will show you is this is this workflow. This is the approval process. So first, when we save the document or the incoming invoice, it will be in preparation stage. Then it will be sent to the purchaser. Then it will be sent to the requester, then to the head of department. After the head of department, it will go to the accounting. And if everything is okay, it will go to the posted. And what we can see here, this state will trigger this creation of that signing page, and this state will trigger that HTTP integration module where we will send all the details and data to the ERP. Okay, I will now briefly go through the extension kit configuration. I will not go into really big details. I will just briefly show you how this is done. You can always download this vault, maybe check this presentation and this video, and then check deeply these rules and configuration. So firstly, I will go through this data transfer module. So just to remind you, this data transfer is transferring data from the FTP to the file to the M files, and also it's extracting ID from the file name. So we have two rules. We have the FTP rule, and we also have the file rule, because you can use this demo vault on your own. So this is a scheduled job. It will basically trigger every day. You can put it daily or hourly or however you like. So what this will do, as this is scheduled, we don't have any trigger source. It has only import settings. So we are using the FTP. You can use some FTP settings here to connect to your FTP server. There is a folder. What we will save is we will save the documents, and the class will be a purchase order. And we need to add some kind of file attributes. So what we will do is we will extract file name, and this is the regex. So I will not go into the regex, but this is the code that will extract our ID from the actual file name, and it will say, and this will be saved as external ID onto our object. Okay, so after that, when the file is saved to the M files, the SQL integration will be triggered. So we will trigger. So we have currently here run once trigger, but it can be this is run once because we can execute it at run once, or we can schedule that. So basically, you can have it or object created. It can be also triggered when this purchase order is created. It can be done also like that. So we have some kind of SQL settings. This is a connection string here. I will not go into the connection string. We can see here this select. So we will execute a query. We will gather all these details from purchase order table from the ERP, where number is same as this ID. And what we can see here, this ID is our external ID, the same external ID that we gathered from data transfer. And based on that, we will get all these informations, and now we will map that information to our actual property in the M files. And this is the way how you do it. This is the column name from the SQL, and this is the property from the M files, and so on for every property. After that, so now we have all this information in the M files. Everything is done in the M files. But when we select the purchase order on the invoice, we need to copy all the data from purchase order to invoice so that we can use it in our approval process. So we will do that using a property from property operation. So this is the incoming invoice. So we have rules based on what we are copying. So for example, what we are copying here is everything is on the source object. So we are copying purchaser from the purchase order purchaser to a purchaser. You can do it like this. You can use also the auto property. Auto property will do the same. Using the property operation, you have more control over it because auto property will trigger on every change. Here you can say maybe when object is changed or object is created or in a certain state and so on. Okay, so this is the way how we will copy all these properties from the purchase order to invoice. So maybe you can think, but why not use the automatic filling? So the automatic filling is not working if the objects are on the same object type. If we have here document, the automatic filling will not work. So that's why you need to use the property operation or auto property. So when this is done, we will go to the approval process. There is also one trick that we are using here, and that's something that is done in this version. So we can add, for example, as you can see that in this workflow, we have request, we have purchaser, requester, and head of department. Sometimes requester can be the same person as the head of department, and this is something that it's not quite often, but it can happen. And in that scenario, the person need to click once to approve and then click again approve. So we wanted to have the option that people do not need to do that. So what we have done here, we added two options how you can do it. One option is you can have it like skip head of department, and you can do it like here. You can have dynamic search filter where you will say if requester is the same as the head of department, and then you will just change the state. You will say, okay, do not go into the head of department, go directly to accounting. That's one way. That's one way how you can quickly do it. Another way is to use auto state transitions. Auto state transition can have certain rules where you can say, okay, if the same person is in the two states that are one after the other, you can skip that. That's one option. Another option is if the same person needs to confirm or approve the person that has created the document and so on. So those are tricks that you can make some things easier for your customer. Okay, and two more things we have here. When we are done with the process, we will create a signature page. We are doing that with document processing. Here is how we can do it. So we will add a signature page. So this is triggered in the accounting, as I said. It have add signature page. It will save merge documents and merge files, and it will say which file has to be merged in with our file that we have in the accounting. That's one thing, and another is when we would like to send all the details using the HTTP integration to our ERP. This is also triggered in the posted state. What we will do, we will send that JSON to this webhook. Also, we will using post method. This webhook is alive, and it will be alive 24 hours after this, or you can create your own webhook. And what we are doing here, we are sending all this data into the JSON. So I will go through that process briefly. So we have some kind of invoice here. Okay, this is our invoice, company ABC with what ID. This is a customer. We have some value, and what we have here, this is a purchase order, and this is the invoice number. So let me add that to our M files, like this. Okay. So this is our incoming invoice. Okay. And what is the name of the purchase order? This is the name of the purchase order. So you can see that there are some things that we can edit and some things we can't. So our date is 15, so we can't do it. We can't add that, and we will just copy paste this number, and that's it. We will just create it, and when we created that, you can see that we have all these informations, because all this information we have on our purchase order. And we have all this information because we gathered everything from the database. So we have all the information here. We can see that the requester and the head of department are the same person. So we will send it for approval. So the first person is the purchaser. Then it will be our requester. Okay, and it's also assigned to this a key user test. And now we will push it to the head of department. The same person is also the head of department, but you can see that it went to the accounting. So you can see that it skipped the head of department. It went to the accounting immediately. That's because we used this trick that if the same person is requester or head of department, it will skip. And you can also see that in here. So requester, head of department, and accounting. And here you can see that there is a signature, state action, and a merge document. So what you can see here when we open this document now, that we have this signatory or signature page here. We can see all these persons who have approved. We have some additional info here. That's so our accounting needed that. It's also merged with that document. Okay, so as accounting, I said, okay, this is fine. Everything is good. Let's post that incoming invoice. So we will post that, and in that state, request will be triggered. I will go to the webhook. And now we can see that we have a new request. We have a name, date, purchaser, head of department, link to the M files if we want to use it. And also this is the file. So file is sent in a binary. You can send it in a stream or however your ERP system like. And that's our improver process where we have integrated the FTP with data M files with the FTP, M files with the database, and M files with HTTP. We used a few tricks also in the approval process, and we added signatory or signature page here. That was our demo. So I'll summarize as I already did what we've done in the use case. We used data transfer for the FTP. We've used SQL integration to gather all this data from the SQL database to the mFiles object, or in our case, to the purchase order. We've used extended property operations to populate incoming invoice with related purchase order. We used auto-state transition to skip if the same person need to approve document twice. We also use the extended document processing to merge or to add one extra page to incoming invoice, and we use the HTTP integration for sending all this information about approved invoice to the ERP. And also what I mentioned on the beginning, extension kit now, or the extension kit in the cloud, it's mostly partners and customer driven. So if you're using the mFiles, just mFiles and the extension kit, just contact us if you need any help, or you have some ideas, or your customer have ideas or some needs, or you need something that you will win the opportunity. Just contact us. We will do our best to plan that into our next roadmap. So this is the use case. The vault used in this webinar, you can use this QR code, or Katerina already put that into a chat. So I'll keep sharing the screen if you have any questions that I need to show.
Thank you, Alan, very much for this thorough presentation. So we have a few questions here. So the first one, just to clarify, extension kit for cloud means that we can use the extension kit in the mFiles cloud? Question mark.
Yes, that's exactly mean that. Yeah.
Okay, where can we download the vault? So there is a link in the chat, and there was a QR code. If you can maybe bring that back.
Yeah, I can return it to the QR code, and you can also paste it in the chat once again if somebody needs that vault.
Okay. Is it the same if we are using auto-state transitions or property operations for skipping the person in the workflow, or there are some differences?
Okay, really good question. So yeah, the difference are if you are using, so let me go back and quickly, I will not go through these examples, but so the auto-state transition, it's like a dynamic rule. It said if the same person has approved twice in a row, then this will be skipped. That's one rule. The second rule is if the person who has created the document needs to approve it. And that's the second rule that can be triggered to jump over that state. So that's like more dynamic. So auto-state is more dynamic. If you're using the property operation, you will need to hard code that. You will need to say, you will need to know your workflow. And then you will say, okay, if the requester is the same as the head of department, then go to accounting. So this is not dynamic, it's like more hard coded. It's based on your workflow, but AutoState is dynamic. So if AutoState recognize that the purchaser and the requester are the same, it will just skip the requester. Or if the then head of department is the same, it will just skip it. It will do it dynamically. That's the beauty of the auto state transition. But if you are using the property operation for that, you can have more control. You will have, okay, I only want to do that if the purchaser and requester is the same. I don't want to do it if the requester and head of department is the same, because always heads of department have to click it once again, and so on.
Okay, another question. Does data transfer allow you to delete files after import, or do they stay in the folder?
It allows you to delete files after the import.
Okay, we have a few more. If you want to send the invoice straight to the ERP solution via the HTTP extension, where would you set the OAuth settings to authenticate onto the system in mFile's HTTP extension?
I didn't quite get it.
Do you see the question?
Yeah, I see from Barry. If you want to send the invoice straight to the ERP solution, okay. Where would you say the about okay to one? Okay, so currently we don't, in this version, we don't have the OAuth because OAuth will be released in the next version. But let me quickly show you where that will be. Settings. Now, where is my here? Where is my HTTP? Here. This is the body. This is the header. Yeah, I don't see it here. It's my, is this the HTTP? Yeah. Configuration. What is it? Node. Yeah, here you don't. I don't have it here, but there will be a new option where you can use the authentication mode, and you will use OAuth, but it's not here, and I can't show you now. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can maybe contact the person later and answer the question
Yeah.
more
No
thoroughly.
problem. Oh, it's down here. Okay, sorry. It will be here. So you can use it. It will be OAuth here. Yeah. We put that on the, yeah, in this version we extracted outside of the rule, so you don't need to do it in the each rule. Yeah, it's here. Here will be OAuth.
Okay, the next question is, what are the options for defining where the signature is added in the document?
Okay, you can in the document processing, you can define where you would like to put that signature. You can do it in the two ways. One is just to add like this. You can add it where would you like to put it, and another way is using the placeholders. So here we are using the placeholder, so you can put the placeholder anywhere, and if we see this, we will just replace it. Or you can, sorry, this, or you can use location, and then you will define the location. So bottom, these are the locations, bottom left, bottom center, and you will have the offset and on which pages and so on. We are usually using the holders. We are using the location only if you need to just put a stamp on each outgoing document, then you will just put it on the last page, bottom right. And so, but for this signature and everything else, we will just do that. And what Jan asked, so duplication, I thought that the question is related to this. So one thing, when you are merging documents, you will lose the M files duplicate detection, because what M files is doing when they are checking the hash. They calculate some kind of hash of this document, and then if you are adding the same document, it will have the same hash. So here, this is not the same document that we added in the M file. So if you add another same same document in the M files will not warn you. But you can use the validation in the extension kit, where you will say if you have invoice with the same number in the same year or with the same date, this you cannot save it. So we have that in all implemented with all our customers, where we have the invoice process. We have the validation based on the invoice number and invoice date or a year for that vendor. So we have validation there. Or what you can also do is not merge document. You can edit as a multi-file in the same document if you want that.
Okay, so I think that's it from the questions. Of course, you can always contact us on our contact page, or I will just paste our email addresses, so you can contact us like that. I would like to thank you for joining us today. Okay, so we have one more question, just a second. So you would allow it to be created but not changed in any way, if I understand correctly, regarding the last question.
So no. So for example, if we add a validation that let me check where is my, okay, it's here. If we add validation that you cannot save document if this number, vendor document number, already exists, when you click save, it will pop up the error here, and this error will say you cannot save this document because document with this vendor number already exists. So it will not allow you to save the document with the metadata that is same. So it will like have duplicate detection in the M files. Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, great. So we are almost out of time. I would like to thank you for joining us today. You can contact us anytime through the contact form or through our email addresses. I would like to, of course, encourage you to try Extension Kit. Go to our website. And yeah, you will get the follow-up email with the recording, so you will have it. For later. And I would like to thank you and wish you a great weekend.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.